Thank you very much for joining us here on News Desk, and we can start off with some issues with politics. And President John Dramani Mahama has debunked news making rounds that the Volta region has received less of developmental projects under the NDC government. Now, according to the president, the region has benefited equally from the numerous developmental projects initiated by his governments across the country. President Mahama was speaking at a meeting with the Volta Regional House of Chiefs in Ho during his Changinglives tour in the region. He's been outlining some of the ongoing projects in the region and assuring the chiefs and people of swift completion of all projects pending before the end of his first term in office.
I came through the northern parts of the region, starting in Makan, where we commissioned a very beautiful new community day secondary school. As you know, in the run-up to the 2012 elections, I made a campaign promise that we will build community day secondary schools all across the country. Because we realized that when our children finished JHS, as a result of the restricted space in the existing secondary schools, a lot of them education ended JHS, not because they haven't passed, but because there's just no space in the existing secondary schools. And so we committed ourselves to building new community-based schools so that we could absorb the excess, number of students who have passed from JHS but could not find places. And as I speak, 123 of these community-based schools are coming up all over the country. And when we finish all of them, the 123, we have created 240,000 new places in secondary school for Ghanaian children. So 240,000 Ghanaian children who would have ended at JHS and not continued into secondary school can now get a place in secondary school.
Well, the president has, however, called for the support of the chiefs as he begins his bid for a second term in office. President Mahama also entreated the chiefs to use their prerogative powers to ensure the NDC primary slated for Saturday runs peacefully in their region.
No, on Saturday we are having our parliamentary primaries, and as custodians of the land, I don't want you to see how people running all over the place and you ask what are these people doing? We are holding our parliamentary primaries on Saturday, 21st November. And we have changed the mode in which we do it. Instead of using a small electoral college to run the parliamentary primaries, we have expanded it so that all members of the NDC whose names are in our register of members will be allowed to take part in selecting who the parliamentary candidates should be. What we realized in the past was that often because the electoral college was small, there were accusations that the electoral college had been manipulated. And so either people went to court or they decided to run as independent candidates and jeopardize the chances of the party winning the elections, or we chose a candidate who was not so accessible to the electorate that our opponent's candidate was able to defeat him. And the result of that, the last election turned into seats we lost in 308, in which we won the presidential election, but somehow the people did not want a candidate to be put there, so they voted for somebody else, either an independent candidate, or they voted for one of our opponents. And so we have tried to cure this by allowing all our members to vote. And so averagely in every constituency, you have not less than 5,000 people registered to vote. And we believe that it's not possible to manipulate 5,000 people. As a result of the expansion of the electoral college to allow more members to vote, it has resulted in energizing our party. We can see more excitement in the party. And we believe that the result is selecting the right candidates so that we can maximize the number of seats that we are able to get in Parliament to be able to push the development agenda that we have started.
Well, President John Dramani Mahama wrapped up his nationwide Changinglives tour in the Volta region. At a rally in Ho, President Mahama took a swipe at the opposition New Patriotic Party. He made fun at the minority in Parliament, saying they have been sleeping on the job. We can now take a listen to him.
Chief propagandist of Hitler, he was called Goebbels. And I said that there is a lot of Goebbelian misinformation in our system, where people intentionally put out propaganda to mislead other people, to mislead the electorate. Recently, there have been comments about the economy. Indeed, the minority held a press conference on the economy. And at the press conference, they said, this government has borrowed a lot of money, and they don't know what we have done with the money. Then it means they are sleeping in Parliament. Because this government cannot borrow one single loan without taking it to Parliament for approval. And in the approval, you have to write everything you are going to do, use the money for. So if you are the same people approving the loans for us in Parliament, and you said we don't know what, you don't know what we are doing with it, then you don't deserve to be in Parliament.
You can say that again.
And so it is just part of the disinformation. It says, oh, you borrowed a lot of money, we don't know what you've done with it. So have you been sleeping? Anytime we come and ask for a loan, we tell you we're using it for Adaklu water supply system. We're using it for Okwau's water supply system. We're using it for Pond water expansion works. Or we're using it for University of Health and Allied Sciences. And so if they want a list of what we have used the monies for, they should just go to the parliamentary Hansard and look in it. All the projects are listed there. In addition, the running mate of some party the other day was complaining that this government has raised more money, more revenue than any other government in the history of the country. Is that a sin? Is it a sin to raise more revenue? And I'm surprised that as an economist, you find something wrong with raising revenue. If we raise revenue, it is what we use to do public works. Government, every money that we spend in this country for school feeding, for livelihood empowerment against poverty, for all the programs that we have, subsidies to secondary schools, free day school, where does it come from? It's revenue from the taxes we pay. The money doesn't come from John Mohammed's pocket. It comes from the revenue that we raise. And so if we have raised the most money in the history of Ghana, I thought he should be patting me on my shoulder and not raising it as a sin of my government. Raising revenue is not a sin. But perhaps the most dubious one is the issue of debt. You must always read between the lines. Recently, you would have heard that, oh, this government has borrowed so much money, it has put Ghana in debt. Government is a continuum. And so governments leave debts behind, and other governments inherit them and pay them off, but they also borrow to do the infrastructural projects. So it's a rolling thing.
Right, so let's just try and have a discussion around this particular issue. Joining me over the telephone lines now for some thoughts on this particular comment from President John Dramani Mahama as to the fact that, well, quite a number of members of parliament seem to be sleeping on the job. Pretty shortly we'll be speaking to Deputy Minority Leader Dominic Nitiwo, who will be with us here and will be bringing us much more on this particular one. So Mr. Nitiwo joins us live now over the telephone. Mr. Nitiwo, good morning. Thank you very much for joining us, if you can hear me. Okay, so the line seems to have tripped there. We will try and raise the Deputy Minority Leader on the line. Mr. Nitiwo, can you hear me now, sir?
How are you doing, my brother?
Oh, many thanks for your time. I'm doing great. Thank you for joining us here on NewsDesk. Now, apparently, you seem not to be doing too much of a good job. According to the president, you seem to be sleeping on the job.
we can't be sleeping on our job. The president knows that when it comes to parliament, it is the minority that's doing even the job that the majority are supposed to do. Because obviously the role of parliament does not include only the passing of loans and approval of loans. It includes legislation. In fact, the primary duty of a member of parliament is legislation, and he knows very well that when it comes to legislative work in parliament, it's the minority that is actually doing the job. He knows very well. He knows that many of the bills that come to parliament with many mistakes and distortions, the winnowing is done mostly in the minority leader's office. The people who normally do a lot of the work, apart from the chairman who is on the floor, are mostly minority members, and the Hansard can bear that out. So when the president says that we are sleeping on our job, he may have been addressing a particular issue. And if it is just the issue of loans, we are ready to respond to him.
Okay, so to the specific issue of loans, now the president makes mention of the fact that, well, you claim that you seem not to be seeing what he uses the many loans the government has contracted for those particular purposes. Now, is it a case that is just deliberate sabotage, as some would put it?
I think that the president is either misleading the public, like some would use the word, throwing dust into the eyes of the public, or he doesn't know exactly how it is going in parliament. I'll use the first one because...
So you're saying the president is either ignorant or lying, in other words?
I'm saying that I think he's not being truthful. That's what I would say. Because he's been an MP for 8 years, 12 years, so to say that he's ignorant would be far-fetched. But I think that he's deliberately misleading the people. The reason is that the president knows that when it comes to debt, the current debt portfolio of about 100 billion Ghana cedi, about 50% of them have never come to parliament. They will not come to parliament because that's how our laws are. When a government goes to raise bonds, stocks, when a government goes to do promissory notes, when a government goes to do treasure bills through the Bank of Ghana or even Bank of Ghana pre-financing government, it doesn't come to parliament. I'll give a classical example. The SADA 200 million cedis that the government raised and gave to the SADA people in 2012, it didn't come to parliament because that's what the law says. The last 3 billion Bank of Ghana raised and then another 1 billion, it didn't come to parliament. What they do is to come in the form of a budget that will spend 40 billion this year, and they go and raise these bonds and stocks and loans on the domestic market. They don't bring it to parliament. So when the president says every single loan comes through to parliament, and that we should know, I think that it's deliberately misleading people and doing politics, what we call propaganda. Knowing that you are speaking, what you are saying is not true, but you are deliberately saying it is called cheap political point. That's what the president is. Because he knows that the 100 billion we have, about 50 billion of that loan portfolio, debt portfolio, did not pass through parliament. Now, let's go to the second phase, which is the other 50 billion that he says pass through parliament. He also knows clearly that most of those loans, the minority did not approve. Parliament may have approved because the majority approved, so you will say parliament. But the minority either walked out, we abstained, or we didn't vote for it. I'll give you two examples. The XCS, we didn't. 3 billion, we didn't. Chinese, the Russian loan for $300 billion they just paid for the military, we did it. He also knows very well that the trouble, for example, 600 million, we did it. Because we had problems with those major loans. That itself is already getting to 2 billion. We did it. He knows it. Secondly, even what we approved in Parliament, genuinely, Parliament approved, they've gone to do the wrong thing. Or they've gone to not do what we said they should do.
So can you give me specifics here? Cite an instance.
The Eurobond, for example, when they came to Parliament this year, go and look at the budget of 2015. They said they were going to use the Eurobond for 1, a little for debt servicing, 2, for mostly energy-related matters. When the Eurobond came, the president said, the finance minister said they were going to use the Eurobond to pay debt. We didn't secure the Eurobond to come and pay debt. That's not what Parliament gave them. We said go and use it for energy-related things, counterpart funding, and some bit of debt servicing. But they have used the whole Eurobond to pay debt. And you think the minority shouldn't ask questions? Last year, Eurobond, the Bank of Ghana swallowed the whole 1 billion Eurobond. But they came to Parliament to tell us that, well, we're raising the Eurobond for 250, we'll go for debt servicing. 250 will go for energy, 250 will go for counterpart funding on roads. But the Bank of Ghana took everything because Mahama overspent in 2012, and Bank of Ghana, the IMF said, hey, Bank of Ghana, clear your books. So they took the whole 1 billion, which is like almost 3.8 billion Ghana cedis. Bank of Ghana took everything. But that's not what they came to Parliament for. So we, the minority, are saying, look, this 100 billion that we now owe, because you came to build a debt portfolio of 9.6 billion, you have raised it to 100 billion. What did you use it for? Finish. We're not talking about why he went and borrowed. Nobody will ask him why he borrowed money. If we had problems about borrowing, we will say it on the floor, which we always say on the floor anyway. But that's not what we are saying. We are talking about usage. Implementation.
And again, the president cites quite a number of projects, including the University of Health and Allied Sciences, among quite a number.
All the signature projects that Mahama is talking about does not reach $5 billion.
That's in the minority's estimation.
We are talking of in excess of $11 billion that these people have picked between 2009 and now. All the signature provisions that you see here talking about, the roads, Kaswan Peking, the universities, the water projects, what, it's not up to $5 billion. And we say that, where have you used the rest for? It is for him. We know. He came to Parliament to say, I use it, but we have a government that come to Parliament to say, I'm going to use it for this and go and use the Eurobond to pay debt instead of using it for what they came to Parliament for. We know that. That's why we are asking them. They should tell us what they use the resources for. That's all that we are asking. Is it too difficult to ask them to come and explain to the people of Ghana what you use our money for? Because the debt you are incurring. When the NDC will lose in 2016 election, if they lose, Akufo-Addo comes, we have to pay it, not debt. Because it is the Republic of Ghana debt.
Okay.
The debtors are not going to say that it is your mom's debt. He's incurring the debt for future generations. Some of them are as long as 30 years, 40 years, 20 years. Your mom is not going to be president in 20 years, 30 years time. Some of them. So we are saying, tell us what you are using it for. Because the managing director of the World Bank said that our loan to GDP ratio has actually dropped from 9.8%. The loans the money that we have raised, if we look at the to GDP ratio, that's 9.6% and the 4.7%. So we take the loans and we use it for consumption. We get money, but we actually use the money for consumption, income to GDP ratio.
Okay.
So if you look at the income to GDP ratio of Ghana, it has dropped from 9.4% to 4.7% for capital expenditure. So we get the money, we use it for consumption, we will just consume it instead of using it for capital expenditure. Kufuor was using 9.6% of his income for capital investment. Today, Mahama is using 4.7% of his income for capital investment. The rest is for consumption. Then you come out and say you are blaming the minority. What are you blaming the minority for? You are insulting us. This is the second time the man is insulting the minority. He went to Winneba when he was vice president, went and said baloney. Baloney means stupid. It's a slang in Texas. Today he's insulting us again, and he wants us to work with him.
So you're saying the minority in Parliament is not going to in any way work with the president?
Why did I expect that we'll work effectively with him again?
I mean, you're essentially not working for the president. You're working for the people of Ghana. So if it means supporting policies of the president...
Of Ghana, he is the leader today of the people of Ghana. He should not be insulting us. You think if you clearly appreciate the job somebody is doing, you go around insulting the person?
Okay.
No, it doesn't.
So,
it doesn't appreciate that 50% of the voters queued and voted for the MPP MP. It doesn't appreciate it. It doesn't appreciate the MPP party. Over 5 million Ghanaians queued and voted for them. It doesn't appreciate it. Those over 5 million Ghanaians couldn't have been wrong. You, President Mahama, you are wrong.
So you think
people who queued to vote.
Is it a case of complacency?
No. It's a case of a man who is under intense pressure. A man who knows he's losing an election. And he's frustrated and vents his anger. That's it.
Let's talk about the debt stock that the president mentions, and obviously you have also made some allusions to that particular one. Now the president says, you keep accusing the NDC government of borrowing so much, and yet still you're not seeing what those monies are being used for. Now the president states emphatically that about 41% of the current debt stock was actually accrued during the MPP era.
I think that that's my problem with the president. If you are a president, and you are not even a candidate, you are a president, then you get your facts right. He's been misinformed. When President Kufuor was leaving, the debt was 9.6 billion Ghana cedi. In dollar terms, the external debt was $3.7 billion. Today, the external debt is $14 billion. How can you turn around and say Kufuor incurred 41% of that 14 billion? 41% of 14 billion is over 5 billion. Kufuor never left over $5 billion debt. It's basic mathematics. I'm surprised. I just think that somebody out there is misinforming him, and he's also going out there using it to insult us. It's not true.
So the information...
Go to Bank of Ghana records. The Bank of Ghana records are clear that when President Kufuor was leaving, the debt stock, external debt stock was 3.7 billion. In cedi terms, it was 4.8 billion Ghana cedi at an exchange rate of 1.2 or so. That is what it is. That's what the Bank of Ghana reported. Today, external debt is 14 billion. Granted that even the loans that were a bit left, like the Eastern Corridor Road money they're not using, and some water projects, and one that we didn't disperse. Okay, if that we didn't disperse, and you even add that, and then it is 4 billion. It's still way below 40%. But even that, I know, as we say today, majority of the loans Kufuor incurred has been paid off. Because they are not standing there, they've been paid off. They pay them off on a daily basis. So what is he talking about?
And you said the president is saying all this because he's ill informed?
No, so somebody didn't inform him properly.
And by somebody, you mean those who handle the finances? Obviously, the finance minister.
I think that those around him who handle his financial matters are misinforming him. And he's also going about... Is
it a case that they do not know the right figures, or they are just deliberately misinforming the president?
I think it's propaganda. They are deliberately misinforming the people of Ghana, using it for political ends.
So it's not a case that the finance minister, for instance, does not know his job?
Because they have the record. Maybe for all you know, that comment the president made, he didn't ask his finance minister, because if he asked him, he will make this comment. He would have told him that, hey, all the money that I raised outside, especially in Ghana, domestic loans and bonds, I don't go to parliament with it. So these MPs will not know line by line what we do. Because the man says line by line, item by item, we know everything. We don't know, Mr. President. When you took Sada and you and your people went expensive, we didn't know. All the bonds that you go to Bank of Ghana and borrow money, Bank of Ghana, we don't know, Mr. President, because it doesn't come to parliament.
Right.
It doesn't.
Okay, so do I, per your comments, draw a conclusion that the minority in parliament is likely to take the president on?
We are already taking him on, but the attitude of the minority will change. It's obvious. Because you see, in politics, there are hawks and there are doves. The hawks will want you to be boastful, want you to be aggressive, want you to be fighting, want you to be go on demonstrations, want you to be sit-down strikes, want you to be doing rough in parliament. These are channels that deliberately we can do. But the dogs will tell you, no. Parliament is a place we share ideas, we talk nicely, we try to do what we can do. We are not fighting. We shouldn't behave like other countries where in Nigeria people are boxing. In South Africa, they're always insulting their president. You are a thief. Zuma is a thief. You know all these kind of things that people do in other parliaments. But parliament in Ghana, we are still, look, let's be civil. Let's tell the people that I can do better than you by using ideas. But I think the president is pushing the minority to go the way that other people have gone. And I think that the doors will be defeated. Because I will not more sit on the way of maybe some leader will, but me, Dominic, I will not sit on the way of the hawks any longer. Tired of sitting on the way of the hawks because of what the president has done. Because if we don't, tomorrow the president is going to come out and say a different thing, and you don't know what he's going to say. You are the first beneficiary of a civil and nice government style, because you want to leave a landmark, and you are the one stirring the honestness for the beast to come out.
So he's essentially taking your leniency for weakness, the president, you mean?
Not just taking the leniency for granted, but insulting us because of our leniency.
Okay. Dominic Nitul, many thanks for your time on News Desk this morning. Dominic Nitul is the Deputy Minority Leader in Parliament, and he joined us over the telephone with some thoughts on that particular issue. Now, before we move away from politics, let's take this very last one. And the Greater Accra Regional Executive Committee of the ruling NDC has cautioned all parliamentary aspirants and registered members of the party not to campaign from today. Now, the chairman of the party in the Greater Accra region says it is important for all aspirants and supporters to respect the set out rules to enable peaceful elections on Saturday as the party makes history in the democratic dispensation of Ghana. Adekoka has more in the following interview.
Tomorrow is the D-Day that everybody is expecting from NDC, because this is a new system we are embarking upon, allowing adult suffrage, so that everybody who is a member of the party entitled to vote. Everything is in place. We've designated the polling areas where the elections will take place all over Greater Accra. The ballot papers are ready, and they are going to be dispatched this morning to the Electoral Commission. The Electoral Commissioner is the sole organizer of this election, because we are treating it as a national election. So all the conditions and regulations that exist for national election is being applied. Yeah, and today we are asking that there must be a 24-hour cooling period. You know, that's during national elections. On the eve of the elections, no campaign, so that people will cool down and take stock of what they've done, and then move on to go and vote tomorrow. So we are asking all. Yesterday we met all the aspirants and all the executives and informed them that as of today, they should cease campaigning. They should stop having radio interviews or television programs, so that we have a fair leveling field for the elections tomorrow. So far, so good.
Okay. So in doing this, who is monitoring who is doing what? Because this dawn, I heard a campaign van in my area, Kwashiman, and it was telling us to vote for a particular person. Though we are not all going to vote, I heard this van. So who is monitoring who is doing what at the constituency level? Yeah,
the executives are monitoring it, and they are supposed to quickly nip in the bud. I just had a call from Sege that the aspirant there was going around asking people to come for a campaign. So I've dispatched somebody to inform him that, you know, this is a human institution, and sometimes people are very recalcitrant. And so if you want to be a leader, first and foremost, you must be able to abide by rules and regulations. The person who is doing that, then is not a good leader. He cannot be a leader if you flout regulations, because all of us met yesterday and agreed. And anyway, that is the national constitution. And so we are not doing anything that is different. So it's up to them to...
But if someone is found wanting...
Oh, we will sanction the person. Oh, yeah, definitely. Oh. Because you are not a team player. You need to be a team player.
All right. Now let's talk about the register. Is the register clean now? Yes. Because there were some concerns. I'm asking this question.
Yeah, we displayed the register, and people went to look at it. Just we did everything national constitution asks us to do when we are doing election. So people brought complaint forms, people those whose names were not in but were duly registered. So it's been clean. So far we can say that. I keep saying that it cannot be 100% perfect. Nobody should, even our own life, there's no perfection, at least. But to the best of our abilities, we've been able to clean it and ensure that in Greater Accra, about 250,000 people registered to vote, the 34 constituencies. So hopefully, if you go and you find your name there, you have to vote. If you don't find your name there, that it shouldn't be a problem. There will be another time.
I wanted to know what people can do tomorrow if they don't find their name.
Oh, if you don't find your name, this is not it's not a war situation. If you don't find your name, all that you need to do is to step aside and let the process continue. This is a new system that we are even during national elections, the register will be displayed. You go and see that your name is there. But when you come on the door, you can't find your name. So the computer can jump you wherever it is. So that doesn't mean...
I'm just hoping this education has gone down well enough that tomorrow nobody will disrupt the election.
No. If you have no business, all constituency executives are not to go near the election area. Okay. You just have to go individually to go and exercise your franchise. If you go and your name is not there, just peacefully back out. It is not the end of the world. There's no need for you to cause, because the police will arrest you if you go and do that. And why will you want to be arrested? The person whom we are going to vote for, at the end of the day, is going to serve everybody. So if you don't cast your vote, that's not the end of the world for you.
Okay, yeah. That's for the Greater Accra region. Let's look at the national. How prepared is the national also? I'm sure you are.
It is. I mean, we have a national election committee who are on top, led by Honorable Fuso Ampofo. And everything. I mean, this is not the first time that we've won an election before as a party. You know, we are very good at doing that. So far, we are hoping that all decision or all actions taken will bear fruition, so that tomorrow by 5 o'clock, during the night, we'll know who has won over the country, and then we move on. I think it's a simple thing. We've been voting for the past 20 years. This is just a new thing in NDC, but the process is the same as we do every time, every 4 years. So I don't think people should be unduly worried about any untoward situation. It's going to be a very peaceful election.
On the lighter side, where will you be tomorrow?
Tomorrow, I'll be monitoring. I'll be going around.
So you'll be moving from place to place?
That's right, to ensure that there's sanity. Where there's problem, we'll be there to solve it immediately. So I'll form a team in the region who will be moving out various areas to ensure that we want Greater Accra to showcase the NDC. Because this, like the president said, when you come to Ghana, the first place you enter is Accra. And once we are here, we should set example for everybody to emulate. So I'm very positive that we'll do a good job tomorrow.
Okay, but away from all that, can I find out what you think about parliamentarians perhaps sleeping so they don't remember approving certain loans for certain programs?
Yeah, if every day you see the opposition MPs saying the government has borrowed so much and they can't see any development, sometimes I cringe. And I'm of the same opinion of the president, that you are in parliament. And I've said this several times when I've had interaction with them. You are in parliament. If you're asking me what has the loan, I can see what the loans have been used for. But you are in parliament. You pass the bill for the law or whatever, the loan agreements. You pass them. So you are in a better position to go and you have an assurance committee in parliament who goes to see whether the job has been done. So you can sit and ask, where's the money? So the presidency probably when they go.
It's mere politics they're doing when they talk about not seeing.
You see, my dear, just from here, you go across the street, about 2 kilometers from me, 1 kilometer from me, you see a huge edifice coming up, that the circle interchange. You go to the Ridge Hospital, you can see it. Go to the University of Ghana, you can see the medical school. Only yesterday, you saw the University of Allied. Exactly. So what are you talking about? Can't we see? Then you are sleeping. And I applaud the president for saying that.
No apologies.
No apologies whatsoever.
Well, some aspirants in the central region have been speaking to join Mrs. Richard Kojo-Nyarko ahead of the NDC primaries tomorrow. That's Saturday, November 21. Let's get on to the phone lines now, speak to a correspondent and get some more on this. Richard Kojo-Nyarko joins us live now over the telephone. So, Richard, good morning. Who are these aspirants and what have they been telling you?
Well, I've been speaking with 5 aspirants, one from Cape Coast North, and his name is Charles Walker. I've also been speaking with Kelfo, who is also in the Cape Coast South, contesting the Deputy Trade Minister, Richard Hagen. I've also been speaking with George Ntuglangston from the Kumfi constituency, and I've finally been speaking with Samuel Atwama, who is the incumbent MP for Chukwu Etimoka. For George Ntuglangston, who is coming from the Kumfi constituency, he tells me that he is looking for a rematch because he feels that the incumbent Federal Armed Force stood against him during the 2011 NDC primaries, and it is about time that he came back to contest him again. And so that is what he's saying, that he's seeking to unseat the incumbent because the people have realized that it was through some misrepresentation that got there. For the people, he says that he's being and hope he's been living with the people, eating with the people, and all of that. And he thinks that the incumbent, Richard Hagen, who is also a deputy trade minister, is really distant from the people, and so he wants to give them a better representation in Parliament. If you go to the Cape Coast South North constituency, where Charles Kojo Walker is contesting with 4 others, and the 4 others Kobe Achampong, who is the CEO for GIFEC, former MC Anthony J. Akins, another 3 aspirants as well. And he says that he's the youngest and he's done a lot in the constituency, and he calls himself the home boy, and so he's seeking to beat off the competition from the 4 others as well. So these are some of the things. But ahead of tomorrow's primary, I've seen some door-to-door campaigns from these aspirants. The others have also mounted some stages and the others, and they are doing their final preparations with the delegates who will be voting. I have got the regional chairman of the NDC in the Central Region, Bernard Alotejeko. He is going to tell us exactly what he expects from tomorrow's primaries. Good morning.
Good morning.
What are the expectations like? What should people expect?
I'm expecting peaceful elections because I have warned the constituency executives not to involve themselves in any of the elections in their various constituencies. And I hope they will abide by it. I've beefed up the security, and I know the trouble spot areas where we're going to beef up more security personnel into those areas to ensure a peaceful election. Because we want to portray to the outside world that when it comes to Ghana politics, the only political party that follows the due process of the law, that is peaceful and law-abiding, is the NDC. And therefore, charity begins at home. We have to inculcate into the minds of our party active executives that elected patience saves an image. And therefore, these are the rules of the game. Abide by it. And that is all.
Well, Prince, you heard the regional chairman of the NDC, Bernard Alotejeko, there.
Many thanks for that update. Richard Kojunya joining us live from the Central Region with that particular update. And well, again, it seems to be looking like a political Friday, and it's all because of the upcoming NDC primaries. And do trust Joy News to bring you extensive and comprehensive coverage of the program the entire weekend, I might say, and it's across all our platforms. That's on radio, television, and online, where our transmission here on television starts at 7 a.m. tomorrow. We'll bring you much more on this subsequently. But time now for us to take a break on News Desk. We'll bring you business when we return.